Hello guys, in yesterday's class we were calculating equivalent circuit parameters and we dealt till here, so we shall complete here. And also I told you why R0 is not there, because in short circuit condition R0 what happens, it will be means the loss due to R0 will be less when compared to X0, so it is ignored. Okay, so that's what the reduced form of the equivalent circuit diagram. And here you can see R1 plus JX1, they are there in series, so I have written here R1 plus JX1 plus, and anyhow R2 plus JX2, again they are in the series but they are parallel with X0, so it is written as R2 plus JX2 parallel to JX2. Now I'm going to apply a parallel formula of the resistances. So what it says, R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2, likewise R2 plus JX2 into JX0 divided by R2 plus JX2 plus JX0. Okay, this is what I have written here. And again we shall anyhow real part, imaginary part, we shall separate from each other by taking rationalization form. So we shall rationalize here. So the denominator becomes what, in terms of minus R2 minus J X2 plus X0, R2 minus J X2 plus X0, and we shall multiply these two numerator. So first initially I multiply this R2 with this, so R2 into R2 square, J X0 remains minus sign minus, and R2 X2 X0, R2 X2 X0, yes or not? Okay, next minus J X2 plus X0 it is. So first of all I shall deal with J later. Okay, it is R2 X0 into bracket X2 plus X0. Now coming to this plus sign, how this plus sign came, as we know that it should be actually minus, but J square is minus 1, so minus into minus plus. Okay, this remains, this comes as plus. Next you can see the last term is X2 plus X0 into X2 into X0, it is written here, and again you can see here minus into minus plus, again J as J. Okay, there is only J square and all, so minus into minus plus as well as J. And anyhow this is in the format of A plus B, A minus B format, so it becomes what, A square minus B square, but we know that there is a plus sign here. Why plus sign? Because again as I told, J square is equal to minus 1, so minus into minus plus, so it is R2 square plus X2 plus X0 whole square. So here what I'm doing is I'm calling let X2 plus X0 is equal to R, so I shall replace all X2 plus X0 as R, as XR. Okay, X2 plus X0 as XR. So you can see I replaced here X2 plus X0 as XR, and also I replaced here X2 plus X0 as SR. So before, okay, next this remains as it is. Now I shall multiply this R2 X0 X2, R2 X0 X2 plus sign plus R2 X0 square. Okay, now you can see that minus R2 X2 X0 as well as plus R2 X0 X2 gets cancelled here. This part and this part gets cancelled. Okay, now what happens after cancelling, here you can see this is of J term and this is of J term, yes or not, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to separate them. Let's see how to separate. Before that, what we can do is we can okay, no problem, we shall separate them, not a big deal. First you can see that I shall divide this R2 square plus XR whole square for all the things, for this, any of these are cancelled, for this as well as this. Okay, I'm going to split this whole equation. So after going to split, what happens, you can see this is the only term which has no any J imaginary term, so I shall separate this. So R2 X0 whole square divided by R2 square plus XR square, yes or not? So here you can see R2 X0 whole square divided by R2 square plus XR square. I have separated here. Anyhow R1 is there, I have kept here. Shall take this Jx1 later, and then again plus J, again this X1 I have taken J as common X1, so remaining you can see this is containing J and this is containing J, so this is a whole J term, so it is R2 X0 plus X2 X0 XR whole divided by R2 plus XR square. Okay, you'll come to know if you do the calculation, not a big deal. Once you do rationalize, it will be easy to separate real part as well as imaginary part. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare real part and imaginary part. Okay, so R1E will be equal to this part, yes or not? If I compare the real part means R1E will be equal to this part, so R1 is equal to R1 plus R2 X0 square plus divided by R2 square plus XR square. So one thing you should need to know is XR is what? X2 plus X0, yes or not? XR is equal to what? X2 plus X0. Okay, so what happens usually, the summation of X2 plus X0 will be obviously greater than R2. True or not? Obviously it will be greater than R2. Then again if I do square of them, again it will be what happens, again furthermore it will be greater than R2 square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to neglect all R2 square terms in this. Okay, if I'm neglect R2 square, okay, what happens if I neglect even after addition of r2 square to the xr square will not affect the value much more. Okay, it will be affecting very less. So let us to ease the equation and all, I'm going to neglect this. After neglecting, you can see r1 comes r1 itself. So remember, I'm not going to neglect r2 because it is still having certain value, but r2 square is much more lesser than r2. Okay, in that case, so I'm going to neglect this r2 square. So r2 remains as r2, x0 as x0 square, and finally if I ignore means this becomes 0, then finally what remains? Xr square, right? And next you can see r1e minus r1 is equal to r2 x2 by xr whole square. Okay, you can write in terms of r2 also. Okay, r2 is equal to xr by x2. If this goes means what happens? This goes this means it becomes xr by x2 whole square into bracket r1e minus r1. So this is how we are going to calculate the rotor resistance. If you want, you can replace this xr by x0 plus x2. Okay, here. Fine. Now we shall compare imaginary part. Okay, now we compared real part. Now we're going to compare the imaginary part. So x1 will be equal to this part whole, is whatever the terms are there now in the bracket, square bracket, it will be equal to that. So it is written here, x1 is equal to x1 plus r2 square x0 plus x2 x0 xr divided by r2 square plus xr square. I'm going to take x0 xr common here from numerator, as well as I'm going to take xr common from the denominator. Okay, so if I take x0 xr common from the numerator, then what happens? R2 square divided by xr, anyhow x0 I have taken common. Similarly, if I take x0 xr common means what remains? X2 remains. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take xr common from the denominator, so it becomes what? R2 square by xr plus xr. Anyhow I have taken xr, not xr square. Okay, so xr gets cancelled. So finally what remains? x1 plus x0 into bracket this whole part. Now one thing we need to see here is, we know that xr is greater than r2 because xr is combination of x0 plus x2. Usually it is greater than the r2. So then what happens if I divide r2 square by xr? Then what happens? Since anything if you divide by the larger number, the resultant value will be very less. Okay, if anything you divide by the larger number, anyhow as I said xr is greater than r2, so obviously r2 square will be lesser than this. So xr is usually big, so if I divide anything by bigger number, the resultant value will be less. So that's why I'm going to neglect this r2 square by xr. Okay, I'm terminating to 0. I'm terminating to this term as 0. Why I'm doing this all this? Because you can see in the square bracket I'm getting r2 square by xr. So as to, again I told you, so as for approximation's sake and all, we are neglecting these two. As I said, r2 square by xr value will be very less. After neglecting this and this, what happens? X1 remains as x, whereas x plus is plus, x0 is x0, and whatever this will turn to 0 and this will turn to 0. So finally what remains in the bracket? X2 by xr. So it is x0 x2 by xr. Okay, now you can see that what I have done here. Next you can see xr I have again elaborated in the fashion here. Xr is nothing but what? x0 plus x2. Okay, x0 plus x2. Can stop till here, no problem. Either you can continue till here also. Okay, anyhow we need x1 is equal to x1 plus x2. We need to we need to remove this x0 and all. So what I have done here is I have taken x0 common again here. Again in the denominator part I have taken x0 common. So x0 common means what happens? x0 gets cancelled. So 1 plus x2 by x0 will remain inside. And again one more thing, we know that x0 is greater than x2. Okay, x0 is usually what? Greater than the x2. So what happens? If anything, if we divide by the bigger number, then what happens? The resultant will be less. So I can ignore this x2 by x0. So finally what happens if I ignore means it will be x1 plus x2 divided by 1. It's nothing but what? X equal to x1 plus x2. Okay. As there is no method to separate till now, there is no method to separate x1 as well as x2. So we shall assume both the terms as equal. Okay. So usually x1 and x2 are termed as equal. If they are termed as equal, then what happens? X1 equal to 2x1 or it will be equal to 2x2 because x1 equal to x2. So in that case either you can write 2x1 or 2x2. So what happens? X1 if you want to calculate means it will be what? X1e by 2 or x2 is equal to x1e by 2. Both will be having the same value. Okay. Now we shall discuss high torque rotors topic. Okay. So first of all let me tell you whatever the things are discussed here are with respect to what? Your squirrel cage induction motor means whatever this torque is there, right? It is depending upon the which rotor type. Okay, it depends on the rotor type. So as I told you, whatever this topic is discussed is with respect to what? Squirrel cage induction motor means the rotor is made up of squirrel cage rotor. Okay. So why this we are not trying to relate with slip ring induction motor? Why it is not related with slip ring? So answer lies there itself. In slip ring, what happens automatically when you add resistance to the rotor part, what happens? It gives you high starting torque as well as low starting current. Yes or not? This is what the good motor signs are. Okay, so there after adding resistance, we have discussed in the earlier classes and all. So if I add resistance to the rotor and all, what happens? It will give you high resistance to the current flowing. So that's what happens. Current flows very less. So it gives you what? High starting torque. So that option of adding resistance is only true for slip ring induction motor. We can't do that thing for squirrel cage induction motor, as the rotor windings are short circuited with the end rings. But in the slip ring induction motor, what happens? Those are not short circuited, they are brought out and they are connected to what? Slip rings. And again from slip rings we are connected to the brush, and from the brush we are going to connect to the external rheostat. Yes or not? Yes, we have learned in earlier class. Okay, so now the only problem here we are facing is in the squirrel cage induction motor. Why is that? Because we know that squirrel cage induction motor offers very less resistance initially. So if offers less resistance means what happens? There is a chance of what? Flowing of high current more than the rated current initially. Usually it will be 6 to 7 times or 7 to 8 times of the rated current. And also what happens? The starting torque will be what? Very less. Okay, starting torque will be less. So in that case, if you want to use that motor for any high load conditions and all, then it will be not possible to use. Okay, so that's why to tackle this we are using high torque rotors in your squirrel cage induction motor. Means we are using a special type of rotor, means we are making certain changes in your existing squirrel cage so that it should offer high resistance initially, so that high starting torque is produced as well as low starting current is flowed to the rotor circuit. And also what, after reaching normal speed or say 70 to 80% of normal speed, again what happens? We should again think the other way also. Means in that case again what happens? There should be again a normal flow of current, and also the resistance whatever it was offered initially high, the resistance should be less. Okay, we shall see that whatever I told just now, it might be not proper understanding, but we can understand this by learning the coming topics. Okay, but make sure this whatever high torque rotors topic is being dealt, it is with respect to squirrel cage induction motor, because there is no any problem in slip ring induction motor to produce high torque. Okay, so here you can see author has suggested in squirrel cage induction motor high starting torque can be produced or obtained by using what? Deep bar or double cage rotors. Okay, there are certain arrangements I told you need to make changes in the rotor part, so such that we should use deep bars as well as double cage rotors, so that what happens? It will give you high starting torque. Okay, so how your deep bar as well as double cage rotor are making the induction motor to produce high torque and all, we shall see it. Okay, and again remember whatever the principle followed here, that is by using deep bar or double cage rotors, is what? Skin effect. By using skin effect, what we are going to do is we are going to increase the starting torque as well as we are going to reduce the starting current. Okay, so the whatever principle is with respect to what? Skin effect. So before getting into this exactly how your deep bar as well as double cage rotors look like and all, first we shall see what exactly skin effect is. Okay, let's see what skin effect here is. You can see here definition: the non-uniform distribution of electric current over surface or skin of the conductor carrying AC is called skin effect. So one thing what we understood by this definition is skin effect is only with respect to AC and not with respect to DC. Okay, so whatever alternating current we are giving to the conductor, there we can see skin effect. Again, skin effect is absent in your DC supply. So what exactly the definition mean? See, this is the conductor. Let us assume this is a conductor having a length L as well as resistivity rho. So again the resistance equal to rho L by A, and this is the area of cross section. Okay, so here in the skin effect what happens? Current doesn't flow inside the conductor. Okay, current doesn't flow inside the conductor. Instead of that, it flows around the conductor.